People who are homeless on the rise in Central Ohio.
When I think about what keeps me up at night, this is one of the biggest problems I think that we face.
What Columbus and regional leaders are doing to solve the problem and why others say it is inevitable. Plus, making the most out of what you got. How a brand new development going up in downtown Newark is bringing life to a once lifeless building. And as Central Ohio continues to boom, the housing crisis is only getting worse going into 2025.
In terms of home prices, they're likely to keep rising.
The message for homebuyers and why one realtor says you may want to expand your search. There is a lot to get to in Boomtown this week, putting people who are homeless as a priority. It is really an issue region-wide that really came to light this week as everyone in Central Ohio fell into a deep Arctic freeze. This week in Boomtown, we uncovered solutions to this growing crisis, from city leaders to volunteers to shelters. Seeking out people in need of shelter. This week, hundreds of volunteers took part in the Homeless Point in Time count. This is a yearly effort to find people who are homeless and offer them resources to help them get back on their feet.
We have experiencing record homelessness in our community, but we want to make sure that people are safe. And this cold snap really identifies the critical need. Anyone in our community who needs shelter will receive that shelter. We just need to find those folks.
And we do want to thank you for joining us on This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. The issue of homelessness is not just a Columbus issue. It really is a Central Ohio challenge that cities all over are facing as this area grows.
But there's also people who just simply can't find housing. Our overall housing vacancy rate is at about 3%, which means we are essentially out of housing. For a healthy housing market, we really want to see a housing vacancy rate of a 6 to 7%.
So that is Steve Wilkos, the Vice President of Community Engagement at the United Way of Central Ohio. He says the housing market just cannot keep up with the fast-growing region.
The growth of the city over the last 10 or 15 years has far exceeded the amount of housing that we're building, and today we're looking at those who are the most vulnerable with regard to securing housing.
So this week, Columbus City Council President Shannon Hardin held a budget hearing looking at the funding for the homeless population, and he says he expects the numbers in Franklin County to go up. Advocates who work with homeless shelters in Columbus say they need more money just to keep up.
I am not overstating the fact that the baseline currently today must be $13.6 million.
Well, 13.6 is a far cry from the $5.4 million right now allocated to the Community Shelter Board in the upcoming city budget. So this week in Boomtown, we reached out to Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther's office. He acknowledged housing is a regional issue and says in part the city is increasing the amount of affordable housing to meet the expanding challenge facing our community. The real question is, are we facing it fast enough? Well, as we mentioned earlier, homelessness is not just a Columbus challenge. In Licking County, a warming shelter opened up there to help anyone deal with the extreme cold. Here's 10 TV's Yolanda Harris with more.
I think a lot of people are just tired. They're cold. They just want a place to get out of the cold weather, to warm up, and a place that's warm to sleep.
Deb Dingus is pastor of Holy Trinity Lutheran Church in Newark, and right now her church is being used as an emergency warming shelter, and there are a lot of people who need it to stay warm.
They're doing the best they can, sleeping in cars, sleeping in tents, sleeping in abandoned buildings, wherever they can find to try to stay warm.
Dingus says 50 people are currently staying at the church using old Sunday school rooms in the basement. The shelter provides dinner and breakfast along with a bed. It has separate rooms for single men, single women, couples, and families, and it even takes dogs and cats. Whether you're homeless or just need a place to stay for the night, you are welcome.
We are all much closer to being homeless than we are to being billionaires.
Volunteer Kristen Rose says people's health and safety is priority number one.
We have seen so many cases of frostbite and infection and just those sort of things, people who have been hospitalized because of the dangers of being unsheltered. And that, I feel like my eyes were very much widened, because when you are in a job and in a church and in a home, you don't see a lot of that experience. And so here, I felt like I was very naive.
Dingus says people ranging in age from 7 to 81 years old are staying here. And if more beds are needed, they'll find a way to make it happen.
Housing shouldn't be a privilege. It should be a right. Everybody deserves a bed. Everybody.
That is so true. If you are in need of shelter or just a warm place for a night, we have a list of resources throughout Central Ohio. You'll find it online at 10tv.com. Well, some bad news for people moving to Boomtown and looking to buy a new home. This new data from Columbus Realtors shows home prices are up 3.7% compared to 1 year ago. The process for new home buyers can seem nearly impossible, and experts say this year really isn't looking much better. Here's 10 TV's Bryn Caswell to explain why.
They're just like big drawers.
For Kelly Miller, her new Plain City home is perfect.
What did you love about this space? Why did you fall in love with it?
It actually checked all of our boxes.
But she says the road to get there was nerve-wracking.
I was scared coming into this.
Interest rates are at an all-time high. It's remained a seller market, and inventory is still tight.
You've heard so many different stories and like horror stories of bidding wars and all those things probably since 2020.
Analyst Jeff Ostrowski with Bankrate says it's time Columbus homebuyers reset their expectations. The Columbus Association of Realtors shows a median home price of $315,000.
It just looks unlikely that prices are going to fall.
Columbus area real estate agent Steve Smith says moving to areas like Plain City are most buyers' best bet for lower prices.
It's all going that direction. It's just a natural corridor that kind of comes from Dublin and Columbus.
As you can see, Plain City is growing fast. You can see new builds popping up left and right, but some recent home buyers like Kelly find that as a turnoff.
I didn't want to open my window and be able to shout to my neighbor. We wanted some privacy.
While it all worked out for Miller, not all future home buyers may get as lucky. Ostrowski adds interest rates more than likely won't budge either.
If you want to buy, then the question is, can you just accept where the conditions are today?
Bryn Caswell, 10 TV News.
Now, if you're looking to buy a home, there are several resources available. The Ohio Homebuyer Plus program offers above market interest rates for savings account. You can put in up to $100,000, but it must be used for buying a primary home here in Ohio. However, if renting is more your speed right now, here's 10 TV's Tara Jabor in Fairfield County.
Lancaster is a growing city, and soon an over $60 million affordable housing project will break ground. The apartment complex will be about 200 units ranging from studio to 3 bedrooms. It will be on the east side of town near the industrial park. Stephanie Bosco, the economic development director of Lancaster, says there is a lack of affordable housing in the city and the population is growing. The city has seen a 12% increase in population since the last census.
If you can feel like you're in a rural community but have big city amenities. So we're constantly seeing growth. And in Fairfield County, we're driving a lot of the growth. We're going to need housing from everybody from our community barista to our firefighters to our teachers. So this will absolutely open up the opportunity for many people that work in Lancaster to also live in Lancaster.
And construction will begin in the spring. They think the project will take about a year to 18 months to build. Reporting in Lancaster, Tara Jabor, 10 TV News.
It's become a destination, and it's tourism.
And it's exciting. Times are changing for Newark. 15 years ago, most people likely would not call it a tourism destination, but the city is turning dilapidated buildings into social hotspots. Here's Lacey Crisp with a look at the new historic Newark Arcade.
The mayor tells me this $20 million project will bring tourism and energy to the area.
From the square in downtown Newark, you can hear the sound of hammers, saws, and construction equipment. On the inside, it has the feel of a throwback to another era.
And it really is to restore the stories. There's phenomenal stories in this structure, just unbelievable stories. We have the youth that love to visit them, and we've got some older retired people that say, I used to go in here when it was a, ...
The building is unique because it's Ohio's first glass roof arcade, one of only 4 that remain in the state. It has been renovated to have the original look with updated safety. The arcade was built in 1909, and thanks to $12.5 million from nearly 70 donors and a lot of planning and hard work, the 44,000 square feet will soon be open for business.
That fell into a terrible state of disrepair. Something over 5 years ago, just a little bit over 5 years ago, our Community Improvement Corporation, Newark Development Partners, raised money to buy this property from the then existent owner.
In addition to the 20 restaurants, bars, salons, and shops, there will be 19 apartments.
What we're trying to create is social atmospheres to bring people together.
Newark Mayor Jeff Hall says he's hoping the investment into restoring the arcade will have a ripple effect to nearby businesses and make Newark that destination center.
Well, I'm a resident of Newark. I'm a native of Newark. I spent my entire career at Park National Bank, retired now from there after 5 decades. And so this will be a proud moment for the city of Newark, and I'm so happy to have been a small part in helping get to this point.
The first event here will be held on February 7th. A couple of the businesses will open on that same day. In Newark, Lacey Crisp, 10 TV News.
Pretty neat to see. Well, finally, we leave you with this. This week in Boomtown, the Ohio State Buckeyes became your national champions.
And Ohio State, national champions, beating Notre Dame tonight.
So, of course, this week we are all celebrating the Scarlet and Gray as they won the national title for the 9th time in program history. Now, the football program is a big boom for Ohio State and really the whole area. During the 2023 fiscal year, OSU football brought in over $127 million in revenue. That is 11% more compared to the year before. So make sure to tune in next week. From sports to new development to medical research, we're going to look at the booming impact of the Ohio State University. Thanks so much for watching This Week in Boomtown. Be sure to tune in every week streaming right here on 10 TV Plus. I'm Angela Ann.